Subscribe to my YouTube channel at ANNKIO Briggs for notifications and updates. Also follow me on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, all at ANNKIO. Hello, good morning. My name is ANNKIO Briggs and you're tuned to Saving the Niger Delta with ANNKIO Briggs. Today is the 16th of December 2020. We're gradually by the grace of God moving closer and closer to Christmas, and I wish all of us a Merry Christmas. As long as there is life, definitely there is hope, and as long as we continue to aspire for change and continue to work towards change that is in our best interest as a people in a region, we shall get there. But we have to. It is of the utmost importance that we begin to realize that we have to work harder than we have worked in the past. We have to work harder than our ancestors worked before us. It's the same. Unfortunately, we are confronted with the same tragedies, if you like, of injustice that our parents and their parents resisted, and hopefully we will not hand over this struggle for equity and justice, and maybe why not liberty, because we just cannot and should not go on like this. It is most unacceptable. Well, hopefully next week our broadcast will be a bit wider and broader, but for now this is what we have. At least, even if only one person is listening and hearing, it is one person that at the end of the day will be able to get information or pass information on as the case may be. There are so many things that is going on. There are so many things that has happened in the past 1 week. I will take it from the first point of call, which is security. We all woke up to the horrific news that over 300 school children, boys this time, were abducted almost the same way that the Chibok girls were abducted and taken away by today what we now have heard from the claim that Boko Haram had made, that they invaded the school, the science school for boys in Katsina State, and took away other people's sons. And the reason that Boko Haram gave is that education is against his kind of Islam, the religion Islam, that education is against, Islam is against Western education. That is his claim, and he maintains that claim since he took over after the death of the founder of Boko Haram, and we all know that story. Now, is it a surprise that this can happen again at the level at which it happened? Is it a surprise that it has happened in, I think this time it is in the Northwest that this has happened? Is it a surprise that they were, Boko Haram, by their claim, was able to come in the night and take away that many sons of other parents. I was listening to the chief of, no, sorry, not the chief of army staff, the spokesperson of army staff this morning. He went from one media house on television, then to the next one, maintaining that the army is on top of the matter. This is really sad. If we recall, this happened in 2014, and at that time we all had the blame, the call, who was responsible, who should resign, who should not resign, and so on and so forth. And the so-called 2015 election that was won on the clear promise of security, insecurity, depending on how you're looking at it, the promise of security, and highlighting the fact that there was insecurity in the country at that time. Now, insecurity is everywhere. It is not just in the north. It is just not only in the three political zones of the north. Insecurity is everywhere. Insecurity can be pointed towards a lot of activities, but the type of insecurity we're talking about is the insecurity that is threatening the whole capacity of the government to protect citizens and life and property, and to protect the sovereignty of Nigeria. Now, when insurgents or terrorists or foreign invasion can come into a country, in this case into Nigeria, where we all belong, when that takes place in a country, the fact that it is happening, this type of terrorism, insurgents, activities of Boko Haram, activities of ISWAP, activities of ISIS and affiliates of ISIS, and so many other religious activities promoting jihad. Whichever way you look at it, when this is happening, I keep saying that my concern, and it should be and must be all our concern, is that we should not think for one moment that this will be limited or is limited to only the north. I do not believe that it is limited only to the north. I as a person, I have had serious concerns for a very, very long time. Through what I read and the analysis I'm able to make, that it will be foolish of the South, it is foolish of the South to think, and when I say the South, I now mean the three geopolitical zones, and when I say the South, it involves the government and governance of the South, because you and I are not the ones primarily responsible for security or for governance. What we are responsible for is to demand for good governance, is to demand for security, because security is the essence of governance. That is why security, development, and protection of rights, all rights, is what governance is about and should remain. And so the issue of politics, the expectation we have of our politicians, no matter the constitutional restrictions that and hindrances that the governors and the lawmakers seem to have, obviously do have, it should not be the reason why our lawmakers and our governors will not be able to bridge the gap. There is a serious gap of interaction and understanding between the governed and the people who are governing. There is a huge gap. We have to bridge this gap. It is wrong for politicians to continue to see the electorate as someone, that is, you and I are the electorate, as people or someone whom is antagonistic or will be antagonistic towards government and style of governance, depending on our position on issues and depending on our aspirations and desires as people. No matter what politicians offer in terms of governance, if the governance is not good, then they are not governing well. No matter the incapacitation that they have, either by the Constitution, it should not hinder the interaction, the expected interaction between the people, that is the governed, and the governors and the lawmakers and the politicians, these people that we give our authorities to be able to act, to be able to act on our behalf. So now, some people might think, and this is the mistake that we make all the time, that because this is happening in the north, or that because this is happening mainly to Muslims, that it should not concern us or even worry us. That is a huge mistake. The threat is clear and obvious, and we have to look at it from the perspective of when these activities have expended their time and their aims in the north, are they going to stop in the north? This is the question that we should ask ourselves. And since really we cannot be concrete in our response, if we think that yes, it will just end there and it will not cross the River Niger, then I want to suggest that that is reckless and careless on our part. It is reckless and careless on the part of the electorate. It is reckless and careless on the part of politicians, if this is what they think. Because this is a quest by a group of people to achieve something. And since we have no assurance that the South is not in their focus of what they want to achieve, we have to be careful. We have to have a government and a system that that is able to affirm to us as a people that we are safe. Now, is our government in the South, in the Niger Delta, able to affirm this? The answer is no. The answer is no. Now, we saw even at the point of End SARS, when End SARS started, it was seen after a day or two, moving towards 7 days, the reaction on day 1 and the reaction on day 5 and day 7 and going on began to change from even from government. It was the government at federal level and state level outside of the mainly South began to assume and began to put the idea forward that End SARS is a movement to stop this government, and particularly President Buhari. That was the narrative that was being driven days into End SARS. Videos were being uploaded, recordings were being made, state governors, youth voices were very vocal in what they believed was the aim of End SARS. They deviated from the fact that the call to End SARS is a justified call, and that it included even justice for the police. It included a call for the rights of policemen and women, the whole police force, because the police force is the first point of contact, the first interaction that we, the citizens, have when we are confronted with issues of insecurity or issues of crime. The first interaction is the police. So basically, therefore, we shouldn't be having issues with the police. So the fact that all of a sudden a country like Nigeria, we are told without a head count, without a census taking place, that we are over 200 million people, our first point of call is the police. So we cannot have any issues with the police, really and truly, if things are right and are the way that they should be. So it didn't surprise me as a person, because I also speak up on behalf of the police. The police are human beings. The police are somebody's brother, somebody's father, somebody's husband, somebody's son. So the police generally should not be at head-on with the people that they are supposed to protect. So if at the call of End SARS, the people were now being wedged against the police, that was unfortunate and remains unfortunate, and there has to be a rethink on this, both at the end of the police and also the people. But yes, the people are complaining, have been complaining, because something has gone wrong in the relationship with the police, and government is responsible for what has gone wrong with between the citizens and the police. And it is time that both the police and the citizens become aware of this and begin to find a solution for it by being truthful, one to the other. While the police must put its house in order and serve the people and do the right thing, the citizens will continue to include the rights of policemen and women, and all the way up to the highest hierarchy of police, all the way up to the Inspector General of Police. We should also be fighting for the rights of police as we are fighting for our own rights. And the police must also realize that the citizens of Nigeria, from any part of Nigeria, are not millipede that they should step upon to kill, or earthworm, or flies that they should swat and just kill like that. We're all human beings. So talking about security, therefore, it didn't surprise me, and I think it shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone, when we saw that the coalition of northern youths or northern groups got together in Kaduna, in Arewa House, to discuss about the latest insecurity situation in the north, because nobody can feel it more than they are feeling it, because as much as we sympathize and we do understand, they can only, we cannot feel it like them. We can only say we know, because perhaps we do understand, and that we have been there. And when it comes to insecurity, we are also victims. It doesn't matter where you are in Nigeria. Nigeria is just insecure. You know, whether it is armed robbery, or people stealing children to sell for money, or killing people for body parts. These are heinous crimes, unheard of crimes, that are being committed today in Nigeria. And as horrific as these crimes are, they are fast becoming as if it's just, it's not, you know, that is just something that is happening in Nigeria, and that somehow the human beings would have to learn to live with this. No, I don't believe in that. So when I saw hoodlums, that word, you know, it is recently, it's not too long ago, the word hoodlums is in the Bible, is in the dictionary, but recently it has come into Nigeria's political language. It is politicians that have introduced this word, and seriously introduced this word. It is government that have introduced this word. The federal government have introduced this word hoodlums into governance, into the demands of the people for justice and equity and liberty and what is right, that you started hearing the word hoodlums and actually started seeing hoodlums. And they are very distinct. You can see them even during the EndSARS. You can see the people who were engaged in the justified protest of calling for their right to stay alive, and the hoodlums that was introduced into the EndSARS movement. And therefore I still maintain as a person that EndSARS was not taken over by hoodlums, and really has not been taken over by hoodlums, but that hoodlums attacked EndSARS protesters in Abuja and in Lagos, mainly in Edo State, and stuff like that, and in places like that, and in some parts of the north. And the EndSARS movement became divided as a northern a southern thing. So when I saw on video on the attacks that was unleashed on the northern youths that are known, and they're not sinister people, they're not hiding their faces, they are a coalition of different northern youth groups that were attacked by hoodlums who came into Arewa House. Some of them said that there were 300 of them. The point is that just like the Boko Haram claimed invasion of the schools that carted away over 300 boys of secondary school age in Katsina State in the middle of the night, the question, just like in Chibok, just like in the abduction of Chibok girls and Dapchi girls, the question is always, how come the people came in and took away in Chibok 200 and something, in Dapchi 100 and something, in Katsina today, and even before that some other children have been taken, and maybe we've not even it has not really become a national issue or even international issue. I mean, the one of the boys, 300, is quite a lot. So it's on CNN, it's on Al Jazeera, it's on BBC, and all of that. But the point is, how did those number of youths move into Arewa House to attack a well set up meeting and cause that much destruction and ended the meeting in a democracy, in a state that claims to be run democratically, a federating state, and where there is supposed to be security. So you now begin to see that if it can happen in a place like Kaduna, and that's where I'm trying to bring it closer to home, if it can happen in a place like Kaduna, our people should wake up and begin to assess their position and their circumstances in the South, and begin to make sure that they are safe, that we are safe. It is important to learn from what has happened to other people. You don't have to wait for anything to happen to you, then you say you are learning from. No. What has been happening in Nigeria is enough for us to learn and make sure that it doesn't repeat itself here. To think that it cannot repeat itself is foolhardy. To think if the president of Nigeria, with the type of security, when a well-organized country and the president is moving, the Air Force, the Army, the police, everybody is alert and should be alert. So if the president, who is from Katsina and whose hometown of Daura is less than 1.5 hours drive away, if that's what happened in that school can happen while the president was in Katsina, wherever the president is, that's where the power is at that particular time. So if that can happen in Katsina, it can happen in Abuja, because as far as the president was in Daura, Daura became the capital of Nigeria because he is the president. So if that could happen there, let nobody in Southwest or Southeast or Niger Delta think that it can never happen here. So that is what the issue is, and that's what I want us to look at. And that is why I want to make this call that from here on, as we go into 2021, as electorates, we should begin to seriously hold our politicians highly accountable to us. Yes, the governors are supposed to be the chief security officers. Are they the chief security officer? In essence, do they have the capacity? Are they able to provide security? If they are not, if the governor is not able to provide security, then who is going to be able to provide security? And if the governor is not able to provide security, what then is our responsibility for security? Because you see, it is only people who are alive and people who are free that can be talking about development. And this will take us into a lot of areas of development. Now, what is development? Development is when things move from where they are to a better. I'm breaking it down. Things move from where they are to a better position from where they were. So, i.e., if we have bad roads and we now have good roads, that's clearly development. If we have bad medical care set up and we now have good medical care set up, that's development. If we have insecurity and we now begin to see that there is security, that is development. So development is what we expect to improve our lives, our communities, our education. Now, who are the people? I'm not responsible for development. You are not responsible for development. You are not responsible for lights getting to Opobo. It's somebody else that is responsible. I'm not responsible for light getting to Abonima because I'm from Abonima, or the road leading to Abonima to be built because I'm from Abonima. No. It is the person and the people that we have voted for. The lawmakers, the senators that are representing us at a federal level are the people that are to make sure that what is supposed to, the representation, the presence of federal government that is supposed to come to us, comes to us, whether it's health, whether it's education, or good roads, federal government roads, whatever it is. It is our representatives that is responsible for that. That is why we voted for them. That is why they are in Abuja to represent us. Now, are they? What stretch of roads have been built for us in Niger Delta, that is federal government road, in Rivers State, that is federal government road? Where are those roads? So, if these are development and we're not able to have this development, who is responsible? It's not you and I that is responsible. So it's not your interest, your support for your political party. It's not what's going to bring clean drinking water to my community. My support for a political party is not what's going to bring good roads to your community. It is the people that you are supporting, the people that we are supporting, if we support anyone. that is supposed to bring no one else to blame but ourselves. We must hold them accountable. Okay, now the Niger Delta particular development is when development is missing, and we begin to talk about development in the Niger Delta, for instance. If we recall, we had the Rivers Basin Authority, and this came about even before independence. Then we moved into UNPADEC. If we remember, if you know history, or if you get the information, actually the development Rivers Basin Authority development is a creation of a need. What was that need? That need was the discussion that was held before independence, and at the end of the day in London, and at the end of the day the conclusion was that the Niger Delta was backward, was underdeveloped, and it's very hard. It's a very hard terrain to develop. It's all historical facts. Now, so the creation of the Basin Authority was to meet these needs, and already the needs, the reason for the creation was given. And what happened? Once this was agreed, what did we see? If you look back, if you research, you will find that instead of allowing politics and politicians, instead of allowing this Basin Authority development to be what it was created for, everybody wanted their own Basin Authority development, even though it was not included in the document that brought the Development Authority about. So this is the system. This is how the Niger Delta gets deprived, and our politicians, instead of realizing what their responsibilities are, allow themselves to be sidetracked with the issue of one Nigeria, as if asking for development and demanding for development of the Niger Delta region is somehow an unpatriotic movement, and that if you ask for the development of the Niger Delta, that is a right to do, that somehow we become not very good citizens of Nigeria. And so our leaders in the past, our fathers before us, have soft-pedaled along the way, and constantly so, that no matter what federal government claims to be doing for the Niger Delta, we somehow don't get it. We somehow don't get what it's seen. It's like a mirage. It's a wayo, it's a willy willy, it's some, now you see them, now you don't see it, because it's put in documents and yet it doesn't materialize. So it happened with that development. It happened with UNPADEC. And every step of the way, when something is created, I'm talking about development, when something is created for the Niger Delta people through their genuine agitation, other people who don't have the same reasons for the agitation that our people have laid down their lives for, will just automatically, just because the Niger Delta has it, therefore everybody else has to have it. Because then if it's not like that, then it is not fair, then it is not one Nigeria. And somehow I excuse myself here at this point, because I don't agree with it, and I make my voice to be known. At least I must speak my position at any one given time. And so when we have a situation where UMPADEC is created, it is run down by the same system that creates it to calm the Niger Delta down. And corruption is brought into it. Yes, corruption is brought in, whatever it is, corruption is brought into it. And yes, our people who are supposed to represent us become engaged, become part of the system that deny us what we are supposed to have in the name of politics, in the name of one Nigeria.